Guys, let me ask you something. What if I told you that everything you know about death could be completely wrong? That perhaps humanity's greatest mystery isn't exactly what it seems? It sounds crazy, right? But stay with me, because today we're going to explore something that can completely change the way you see life and what comes after it. Take advantage now and leave a like, because I know that just like me, you love a good conversation full of mystery and surprising revelations. Let's go. Will all this, is it true? Or is it just another story hidden for centuries? Ready to embark on this journey with me? So let's begin. Imagine for a moment that everything you fear about death, the void, the darkness, the absolute end, is just a great illusion. And if death doesn't, it was an ending, but rather a transition. A change of focus from one state of existence to another, as natural as the sunset that gives way to night according to ancient wisdom. Human consciousness was never limited to the body. What we call death is just the rupture of a physical bond, but the essence of who we are goes beyond expanding into new dimensions of reality. For centuries, we have been conditioned to see death as something dark, an event to be feared. But what if in fact this fear was implanted? Religions, governments, and even modern science would have shaped this idea to keep us trapped in a cycle of fear, submission, and ignorance. The fear of death is one of the control mechanisms more powerful, and the more we avoid it, the further we distance ourselves from a truth capable of revolutionizing our existence. That death is, in reality, a journey to something greater: consciousness. This invisible force that connects us to the world does not cease when the heart stops beating. Quite the contrary, it becomes more alive, more intense, entering realms that are beyond our earthly understanding. It is at this moment that the question arises that challenges us. What are we really, if not this body and this mind? And if the answer to this question were hidden in the what happens next? Now let's bring up a crucial point in this journey. The Tibetan Book of the Dead, who dared to unravel this mystery, is ready for it. Get ready to discover one of the most mysterious and transformative texts ever written. The Tibetan Book of the Dead, much more than a simple spiritual manual. It is described as a true map to understanding what happens after death. This is not just any text. It has been kept secret for centuries, protected by Tibetan monks and masters, precisely because its content is too powerful to fall into unprepared hands. But why? Because it reveals in surprising detail what our consciousness faces at the moment of transition. It is more than a reading. It is a guide for the soul. The Tibetan Book of the Dead goes beyond the idea of death as the end. It shows us that this event, so feared by many, is just a door to infinity. And the most fascinatingly, he doesn't just talk about what happens after the heart stops beating. He teaches that the way we live now completely shapes the experience we will have at the moment of death. For Tibetans, death is not something that happens to you, but something that you can master. They believe that with preparation and awareness, it is possible to navigate this transition with clarity and even choose what comes next. But here is the most intriguing detail. This book not only describes what awaits us, it also exposes a great secret of its own main teaching. It is not only about death, but about life. It challenges us to see each moment as a preparation for the great moment of liberation. And you know what is even more curious? Many of the systems that shape our society have tried to hide these truths. Why? Because the knowledge that liberates is also the one that removes fear. And now that you know this fundamental piece of the mystery, it is when it comes to exploring the stages of death that it describes. It is ready to go even deeper when the moment of death arrives. What really happens? The Tibetan Book of the Dead offers us a detailed description of a process divided into stages, each one more profound and revealing than the other. The first stage is called clear light. Imagine an instant of pure energy, an explosion of consciousness that transcends anything we can comprehend for those prepared. This is the moment of ultimate liberation, of breaking the cycle of life and death forever. But for most, this light dissipates quickly, and the path continues. The second stage is where things become even more challenging here. visions, and archetypes emerge. Figures that are not just projections but reflections of who you really are. It is at this point that you come across with your greatest fears and your highest potential, not as abstract concepts but as living, pulsating presences. Peaceful deities represent your virtues as frightening entities. Are the shadows you avoided facing in life the Tibetan masters in which all this is a part of yourself? Recognizing these visions for what they are is the key to moving forward. Escaping them. This keeps you trapped in the cycle of rebirth. In the third stage, the choices made in life, your actions, thoughts, and intentions shape what comes next. This is the time of karma, but not in the sense of punishment or reward, as many believe. For Tibetans, karma is like a system programmed by your own decisions. It is a manifestation of the energy you have accumulated, and it is what defines the next step of your journey. But here is the most fascinating thing. Rebirth is not an inevitable destiny. It is a choice, and this choice can only be made by those who have cultivated an awakened consciousness. Now, how about exploring how these stages connect with our everyday lives in the little bardos we experience every day? Life, like death, is made up of transitions. Tibetans call these passages bardos, moments when reality as we know it changes shape, creating opportunities of growth. But what makes bards so fascinating is that they are not limited to the moment of death. They are present in our daily lives in every lost change and difficult decision. Every time you face fear, let go of something that holds you back, or face the unknown, you are living a small bardo, a mini-death. It is in these moments that we have the chance to transform our life and prepare ourselves for the great transition. The Tibetan Book of the Dead teaches us that understanding the bardos of life is a way to master the bardos of death when facing our daily challenges, such as forgiving someone, letting go of a hurt, or getting out of our own zone of comfort. We are training our mind and heart to navigate the deeper stages of the afterlife. The Tibetans believed that these moments, however simple they may seem, are reflections of the journey of consciousness. If you can go through life's transitions with presence and wisdom, you will be much more prepared to face the clear light, the archetypes and choices of karma, when the big moment arrives. But there is a reason why many people ignore this wisdom. We are distracted. We are conditioned to avoid change, to fear loss, and to cling to everything that seems safe. But the secret is to invert this logic. Each bardo lived consciously is an opportunity for liberation, is as if we were practicing the art of dying to be reborn, in a lighter, wiser way, and more aligned with our essence. So if life is full of bardos, what the Tibetans want to teach us about facing it without fear now is it's time to discover how the fear of death became the most powerful weapon of control over us. Because the fear of death is so present in our lives, it would be no coincidence that for centuries religions, governments, and even science have shaped a view of death as something terrifying and definitive. This fear was implanted as a form of control, a powerful weapon to keep us submissive. After all, people who fear the end, who believe in the idea of a final judgment or the total loss of themselves, are easier to manipulate. The fear of death is an invisible but effective shackle that prevents many from seeing beyond the limitations imposed by power structures. Now imagine the pact of removing this fear, knowing that death is not an end, but a transition, is like removing the veil that covers the truth about our existence. People who understand this are uncontrollable. They do not bend to threats or illusions, and that is exactly why the teachings of the Tibetan Book of the Dead have been kept secret for so long. They liberate, and the freedom of the soul begins when we let go of fear. But how can we use this knowledge not only to overcome fear, but to transform our way of living? Tibetan practices are not just ancient rituals. They are true tools to help us face death with courage, and at the same time, our vijnana. One of the most powerful techniques is meditation on impermanence, sitting in silence, closing your eyes and visualizing everything, what you value, your fears, your possessions, even your own identity, dissolving like sand in the wind. This practice is not about losing anything, but about recognizing the fluid nature of life. When we accept that everything is temporary, we learn to live more lightly and let go of that. Binds us, creating space for true freedom. Another practical technique is daily vibrational calibration. The Tibetan masters taught that every thought, every emotion affects our energy. Starting the day, cultivating gratitude, love, and compassion raises our energetic frequency, preparing us not only for a life more harmonious, but also for a higher rebirth or even for final liberation. Furthermore, detachment is essential to release limiting beliefs, fears, and even emotional dependencies. Each daily practice brings us closer to a more aligned life and a more conscious transition. Now, how do these techniques connect to the concept of karma and how it shapes what comes next? Let's discover together that karma, often misunderstood as a system of punishment or reward, is actually one of the most fascinating and transformative laws of the universe. For Tibetans, karma is not an external force that decides your destiny, but rather the energy accumulated by your thoughts and actions. Every decision you make, every intention you cultivate, shapes a kind of energetic program that guides your consciousness. What you carry in life does not disappear in death. It becomes the map that defines your next journey. And here is the most impressive: you do not. You are a victim of this system, but its architect. This perspective changes everything. Knowing that you are the creator of your karma gives you incredible power. With conscious choices and energetic elevation practices, you can rewrite this program at any time. Imagine using each day as an opportunity to plant seeds of compassion, love, and clarity. This is the true power of karma. It doesn't bind you, it offers you the chance to create the future you desire. And now we go beyond what this means for the expansion of your consciousness and how it connects to deeper levels of music existence. The expansion of consciousness is the key to understanding that we are much more than what body, mind, or identity. The Tibetan masters believed that our consciousness is capable of traversing dimensions and exploring realities that go beyond our earthly understanding during life. The mind is anchored in the physical, filtering what we perceive to maintain the connection with this plane. But at the moment of death, this filter dissolves, revealing an infinite field of possibilities and existence. It is as if everything that was previously invisible becomes clear, a true revelation of the potential of the soul. The most intriguing thing is that we do not need to wait for death to access these elevated states. Through practices such as deep meditation and visualizations, we can touch this field of consciousness here and now. The Tibetans taught that by focusing on the spaces between thoughts in this almost imperceptible silence, we find a portal to the infinite. In this state, everything that seemed impossible begins to seem accessible. In this void reside all possibilities, not only about what we are, but about what we can create and transform in our lives. But there is a fascinating detail. This expansion is not just about us individually. It reveals how we are connected to everything and everyone around us as part of a greater whole. And more than that, it prepares us for the quantum leap of death, the moment in which consciousness leaves the physical to explore new dimensions. What the Tibetans called the practice of expanding consciousness is a training that helps us navigate this vast field without fear, with clarity and purpose. Now, how about we go deeper into the ultimate goal of this journey? Now tell us in the comments, do you believe that consciousness really continues after death? Or is this all just a big hoax? I want to know your opinion, because this is the kind of conversation that can expand our minds in an incredible way. If you like this content, don't forget to share it with that friend who loves to explore the mysteries of life. And thank you very much for watching this far. It's amazing to have you on this journey with me. Oh, and don't leave yet, because there's another spectacular video on the screen that will speed up your journey even more. Evolution, and make you see life with different eyes. Click there and come find out. See you next time.